All right, where's my water? We are gonna get started here in a second. Yeah, Fear was over last week. Let me make sure I got what I need. Let's bring the live scene up. Tonight was the finale, the double finale of World Beyond. We are going to do a quick review of that. In a few minutes, we're going to wait for a few more people to get in here. For some reason, YouTube is kind of froze where it's not showing me anyone here, but I see people talking. However, in about 3 minutes, we'll get into a quick review. There's a link if you want to go and vote on the episode. I pulled up this straw poll. I'll copy the link again and I'll put it in the chat. Let me find the chat again. I'll put the straw poll in the chat. Go and vote on this episode again. It's episode 9 and 10 of World Beyond. It is the finale. And I do have a half and half. Well, maybe not even a half and half. World Beyond has been not my cup of tea most of the season. However, I found something in the finale that I loved. There's a couple parts of what I loved, but I'll be honest. I thought it was still cringe for a number of reasons, especially the whole I must be smarter than I thought line, where she's walking out the house and she's like, yeah, they want me. I must be smarter than I thought. And it's all like, they really tried to go for some usual suspects type like plow. But one of the things I loved the most was the fight at the end. Now, yes, I didn't overlook the fact that some of the fight was over edited. It had way too many cuts. A lot of the cuts seemed to be hiding the structured mess of the fight, the choreography, the practiced choreography of the fight. But I still enjoyed the fight. It spilled into more predictable territory where, just like in last week, I called it 100%. Not because there's anything special with me, but because Hollywood is so predictable with this type of writing, where Huck is, the bad guy, villain, the one that's on the villain's team, the spy. However, she's not. I mean, she is now, but we already got a hint that she doesn't know the campus community was destroyed, because she offered to take the others back to the campus community, and her mother was like, to you, she doesn't know about the campus community, and when she does find out about the campus community and what her mother and the CR is doing, she's going to have a problem with it, and she's going to go from being the villain betrayer to redeeming herself and maybe even dying in season 2 after sacrificing herself for one of the others. I mean, it couldn't be written on the wall any more cliche. It's almost by the numbers, painfully so. A lot of this series has been by the numbers. Some of the stuff was off, but that's just because it was stupid. Like, it wasn't, oh my God, you got us. Like, you showed us in episode 1 that the girls were really smart, and then you crafted this excellent mislead where when you came back around, it was a shocker. No, you just made the girl seemed dumb. Like, one was just like what is it called? That's not goody two shoes, class president. And then the other was kind of like this badass rebel. Maybe she made some, drinks. I don't know. She made booze or wine or whatever. But no, it was supposed to be, a two genius kids. And then they did the whole twisteroo where it was like, I wasn't the only one building computers. I don't know why Hollywood has this obsession with computers gauging intelligence and then hacking. We always see like this hacking shit, like they can go on and do hacking. I don't know. Hollywood and the media has this weird obsession with hacking, and also with putting computers together. I knew someone in my family who was mad. I really wish they went with another direction instead of making it a reveal. Maybe let us in on it early on. Because it really, for me, it felt like they were holding this reveal. They were really holding something. And it was going to be like a, dun-dun-dun type of reveal. And it was just, nope, she's smart. They're looking for smart people. And, oh, man, there was something else I thought of. Maybe it'll come to my mind. But when that happened, I thought a couple things. When that happened, I thought, well, what about all the other smart people? They killed everyone in the campus community. I'm sure in that whole community there was viable candidates for what they're doing. Nope, they murdered them. As far as we know, all of them. The other thing was the CRM is supposed to be this feared, don't go near him, you will die, you'll be killed on sight. But conveniently, Silas, is that his name? He gives himself up and they take a prisoner. It's like, I expected him to just gun him down, But I don't know. So there was that. Having them run into Will and his boyfriend running into each other seemingly at an odd location, but I'm gonna say, all right, maybe this is I don't know, closer to, I just don't know. It just seemed like an odd spot to run into them. However, I do like the concept there that the CRM has built this group of enemies over time. Not just with the campus colony, but others as well. I'm assuming some of them were from the campus colony, but I could be totally wrong. They could be from where not Will. Is it Will? I don't know. Not where the dude's boyfriend, wherever he was at, and wherever the CRM has different outposts. I was assuming it was groups of them. But yeah, I should mention, Doomsday Kingdom is now shipping. Bam! For those in the comments saying they got it in the mail. Nice, thick, 128-page zombie comic. It is now officially the most successful indie zombie comic currently running. And yeah, that's because The Walking Dead ended, so they cannot hold the title anymore because they ended, even though every now and then they come out with a new book. Well, we don't know that. They only came out with one Negan Lives book. But anyway, so if you're interested, Doomsday Kingdom, and if you get the 1-book tier or the 2-book tier, it ships immediately. Any day now, I'm going to be getting the sketches and the original art shipped from the UK. For some reason, there's a holdup at customs, so if you have a UK order, the boxes are right there. I know there's 2 boxes with, one of them has the art, not the art, but the posters with your orders. So James can't ship your books until he gets the posters, and the box is at customs, and it should have been delivered already. But anyhow, so yeah, Doomsday Kingdom is still on Indiegogo. I'm going to put the link again in the chat, and I'm going to read some of your comments because I'm pretty sure that's it as far as what I liked out of the 2 episodes. Oh, and another thing. I was totally wrong about something felt off about the guy getting his head caved in, just because it was weird that they covered his face. But yeah, it was kind of a bogus reveal. I don't think they realized what they did when you showcased what's her name being the traitor. You really blew the lid on who really killed the man, what is his name? Pyrrhus, whatever, the dude and his uncle. You really blew the lid off of that, because then it's like, oh, well, now why did she do it? And then in this episode, the kid was all like, Purvis, is that his name? He was all like, no, don't call her. That's the one who shot me. And the editing made it seem like it was really supposed to be a shock and awe moment, but it wasn't, because you already showcased her to be the villain and the spy and the betrayer. We just need to figure out why she did it. And then it kind of like was a wet fart. Now, Percy, that's it. There we go. Percy and Tony. Without Huck, WB is not worth watching. Well, that's another interesting thing is, did Huck's accent kind of switch up? Because I don't know if she just gave up on it, or if once she got found out as the spy, she stopped talking in that stupid ass, I don't even know, man. I don't know. Movie urban slang. It was so off. It was ridiculous. Anyhow, I see some people saying they got the books. Let me scroll through real quick. Muzi Modern said, damn it, got my Doomsday today. Oh, that's what's up. I've been noticing a lot more Sunday mail deliveries, which is friggin' awesome. I actually got something in the mail today from Amazon Prime. It was a Christmas gift for my daughter, but I'm getting more and more stuff in the mail on Sundays. I think they're getting that Christmas mail stuff sorted out. I'm going to be real. The finale was good in my opinion. I'm interested in season 2. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Everyone, evening, Ronnie. Hello, Princess Pie. Speaking of awesome Christmas presents, I got a Christmas present, an early one from Princess Pie, and it connects to the channel in a way that's going to be fun as shit. But if you check my Instagram, I showed pictures earlier. It is a PlayStation VR headset with the motion controls and 2 games, Walking Dead games. They will be in the mail next week. They're shipped separately. So you know damn well we're going to get Saints and Sinners on and popping. It'll be over on the Ronnie Hayes channel. If anyone is interested, look up the Ronnie Hayes channel because we will be streaming Saints and Sinners as soon as I get it and figure out how I'm going to hook it up. I think it'll be easy because we hooked it up in the living room just to play around with the games. VR is awesome. I mean, it's a twisted type of awesome because I didn't know that the VR was different than what you saw on TV. I mean, I get the 3D aspect, but the visuals, so I kept trying to tweak everything because it looked, it just looked different. It didn't look as crisp on TV. So I'm going to have to play around with it, but I think there's a certain limit to how crisp you can get it just because of how VR works and functions. But actually being in 3D is crazy cool. There's some games that are like addictive fun, but we will be playing that Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. That shit I can't wait for. That one utilizes the motion controls too, and those are really fun when you're playing around with them. A and B meaning, could A mean asset? I'm sure it could mean asset. I will open my Christmas gift to me early so I can film in yeah, thank you very much. If you film the unboxing, if you film anything with Doomsday Kingdom, pop it up on YouTube or Twitter or wherever and shoot me a link or a message and tag me in it. Because we are going to do a stream and look and see some unboxing videos, some reviews, and we'll do some more stuff there. Felix's boyfriend's actor is a bad performer. It was so off-putting hearing his line deliveries. For me, there's a lot of bad acting in World Beyond. A lot of it just isn't hitting. Ronnie, you're looking forward to the new 10 episodes of Dexter coming next year. I couldn't stand the Dexter character by the end of season 7. Is it the same guy doing it? I heard they were going to do another season, but I lost track with it. If it's the same guy, I would like if they cleaned up how it ended because it was so frustrating. Hey, Ronnie, just wondering, have you sent out Canada orders yet? Yeah, well, no, you're in Canada, so your stuff is probably in customs. But here's the thing. All Canada orders for 1 book and 2 book, all of them are gone. They're already shipped. So you should have either gotten them or they're in customs making the way through the system. But they've been shipped for over a week, Canada orders. Now, well, I shouldn't say it. No, they've been all shipped. I think I shipped the last Canada order like on Thursday. But, so it's been a few days, but I will say, and even then it was only like 3, so the last 3. But I will say, if the same goes for Canada, if you're talking about, I was thinking because I don't think we have any Canadian orders that got original artwork. But if you ordered original artwork or the sketches that are not in yet from the UK, we're waiting on damn customs. So again, I'm only talking 1 book, 2 book tiers. There's only 25 available sketches, so there's 25 orders that are technically on hold, and that's just until I get the original art in the mail, and then I'll ship those out. But if you got a Canada order for 1 book, 2 book, it's already shipped. Check your emails too. Anyone that got a Doomsday Kingdom trade paperback, check your emails because your email and your Indiegogo account, because your order has a tracking number. Everything we did has a tracking number to keep everything insured and orderly, and you can track it and be sure of when and where it's coming. What you give the episode a rating out of 10? This episode, 4 out of 10 maybe. And that's only because the fight scene, most of it was just predictable nonsense. A lot of it felt filler. I mean, for the love of God, we watched a whole 10 episodes of The Walking Dead where it was a bunch of kids going from A to B and really not much of anything happened. We got this CRM and I mean, again, not much of anything is revealed. Think about everything that was revealed. It's all stuff that we knew years ago, but we just kind of got confirmation of it. You know, like we knew they were doing testing. We knew that meant zombies and yada, yada, yada. The only stuff we got is possible hints to other things they could be doing. It's just, there's no substance there. And I know they're not going to give us substance because that's what the Rick movies are going to do. So they can only give us so much. However, when, like, for example, when the dude was saying, shoot me, is his name Felix? When he was saying, shoot me, you don't need me anymore. You can do it on your own. You can go out on your own. Well, I was just thinking, I was actually more entertained these last 2 episodes for the finale than I had been for most of the season. But still, it's not really carrying any weight with me. But I was going to say, when Felix was saying to Iris, you can do it on your own without me and yada, 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 I'm thinking, what are you talking about? He even sat her down and said, you can survive. I've seen you grown. I've watched you grow outside the walls of the campus, and you're tough. You don't need me to protect you. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, who the fuck are these writers? The last time we saw Iris, she was getting saved because she couldn't handle it out there on her own. And you know what happens? The writers sit down and they go, oh, well, we want to tell the story of a girl who goes from inside the walls and, you know, they don't know anything about zombies, and then they get hard over time, and by the end of season 1, they're like Carol. And it's good to say that that's what you want to do, but if you look and pinpoint all the stuff that Iris is doing, she didn't do shit for most of the season as far as grow strength and protect herself. I think in the finale episode, she killed like 2 walkers, and she stayed on her feet to do it, you know? Maybe he was talking about when they tackled some zombies when they were doing the boat stuff, but even after that, they ran into problems with Percy. Remember, Percy shows up and saves her. She was stuck in the trash can. Just give me a break. I feel like it's writers saying what they want to happen, not actually letting that unfold in the story, but then having the characters talk as if they did do that, you know? Iris ain't doing shit. She ain't do nothing. And then it's like, no, I've seen you. You can handle your own out here. And I'm like, no, the fuck she can't. What are you talking about? Must still be in customs. Devin, if you want, check your IG account. Like, instead of just being like, it's out there somewhere. If you really want to know, check your IG account. If Devin's your real name even, I might even be able to pull it up and take a look later. But, yeah, I think I would need that or your email. But like I said before, if you go right to your, let me open that up. If you go right to your, Instagram account, not Instagram, Jesus, Indiegogo account, bro. I will say, this is one of my favorite scenes all season. If you go right to your Indiegogo account, you can look at your tracking number. This is one of my favorite moments. I did enjoy the fight scene. I wanted it to be a little more brutal, and then in the end, it was kind of like, it was real predictable that neither one of them would kill the other. Right here. He takes the cupboard off, and I like how you get kicked into tables, you get kicked into a broken down wall. I mean, use the environment where they're stabbing at each other and it's going through the wall. There's some cool stuff in here with this fight, and it's a pretty decent fight as far as length too. I mean, they go from fighting inside to going outside. I mean, it's pretty solid. I like it a lot. I dig that. Yeah, I think right here she kills like 1 zombie.
You did that, Silas.
She's like, yeah, I'm good. I don't know. Somebody was talking about this acting. Yeah, this was, I don't know why Hollywood does this shit with the, maybe in your head you're picturing a time where you watched a movie and they did this reveal and it was like, whoa, whoa, you know? But this reveal here, who the fuck walks up to someone they know with the hood all down like this? It's so unnatural, it comes off as cringe. Look. It's for the camera, not for the person. You know what makes great entertainment? Stuff that comes off as organic for the characters. And for us, it's filmed in such a way where it immerses us in the moment. You know what doesn't immerse you in the moment? Or for most people. For some people, you're probably like, everything immerses me in the moment, so it doesn't matter. But for, for maybe some more picky fans or whatever, having it filmed like you want it to come off as that way, it's just stiff. And I think you were talking about this guy's dialogue.
Dad, you don't know?
Know what?
I don't know why, but his look there too was like, I don't know why. It got me. It was like, I should be saying something right now, but I don't have a line.
I got a lot to catch up on.
Black guy looks familiar though. Not from like earlier this season. Yeah, he didn't say much. So maybe what the comment was talking about was pretty much that who walks up like this? Get the fuck out of here. Oh, I just vomited in my own mouth. Here's the link. Guys, go ahead and vote for the straw poll on the episode. I could see this straw poll getting decent ratings because it did go off with a bang with that fight, especially. Corduroy Kid wrapped two walkers up with a measuring tape, rodeo clown style. Yeah, I seen him wrap them. I didn't know it was measuring tape though. I don't know. My brain shut off. So they chose this gifted chick based on a personal conversation with the father, but killed thousands in colony for no reason. Yeah, that's another thing. It wasn't like it was a father like gloating about, man, Mike, it wasn't like a father saying, yo, when she was in school, she was tested and she was a fucking genius. Nope. It was just a father going, yeah, you know how many families have that story of someone in the family that did something that was like, what? You know? It was just that. It was a father saying, yeah, my kid, man, when she was like 10, she took a computer apart and the next day she put it back together and it worked just fine. And it's like, bro, they come up with this whole convoluted plan. Not only do we need her for the community, but we need her to experience life outside these walls. So we're going to kill the colony. I'm going to make an elaborate plan to give her this map. And then we're going to have a spy pretend they're the father and then say that he's in trouble. And we know their instant reaction is going to keep it to themselves, sneak out, and then make it there. How did Huck even get out? That's another thing. Let's go back. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. How did Huck leave the community? Because that's something I wasn't thinking about. Huck, what episode was it? Was it episode 2? This was so dumb.
Now you'll be scared.
Look at her. Look at her face. Look, watch. They're in see this little shrub right here? She trips on that little shrub. Or not shrub, but that root, the tree. Now, she trips, meaning they're going to fall down and just go splat, right? Now, when they run up to them. Okay, she fell right here. Even if they rolled, she'd be like right over here. Splat, blat, bam. How the fuck do you fall off this, jump like 10 feet across and land stabbed into this tree, and then Iris just face down? How does that happen? I mean, and it's little shit like that. And the reason I bring that up is because when you're watching, you go, oh my God, she fell over with the zombie. What's going on? And then when they walk up and show this moment, my brain immediately goes, wait a minute, she fell straight down. How was she 10 feet over? And it rips you, at least for me, it ripped me right out of the scene. All right, so let's see. They're here.
Pull this off.
Oh, I love you too, Huck, and no, you did not.
Way too early to be nimble.
I've seen you, Limbo Girl. I think you'll manage.
Nobody gets lower than me.
But that's when the sun's down.
Was this when they're looking for them? Damn, it might have been episode 1, I guess. Oh, right here. Man, I lost track of it. Where'd it go? Yeah, I don't know.
I'm trying to talk you into letting me go with you.
Me too.
They'll never make it. They'll die.
Then we have to make sure they don't.
All right, it was in episode 1. Sorry, chat. I gotta know. I gotta find it. I'm too curious because Huck had to have set it off. Season 1, episode 2. I mean, there's no way to do it without Huck setting it into motion. Well, I mean, they could have... Huck could have set it up.
My own truth.
We've already mapped it out.
So the dude finds information of where they're going. Like this. What happened here?
What?
I was training her to fight the dead. Just trying to help her my own way, man.
I love how those walkers
Listen.
look.
If they left together, they gotta be headed for Omaha. That's what she said she wanted to go.
No. No, I know where they're going. They'll never make it. They'll die.
Well, that's weird. In the recap, they showed the scene that he said it from, but in this, it's a voiceover. All right, so she said they're going to go to Omaha, and then he's like, nope, I know where they're going to go. They're going to go for her father. Sure, you can buy that, I guess. I'm still plopping that down as this is convoluted as fuck, yo. We want them to experience the I dislike. I'm not going to say hate because I really liked that fight scene. Who do we got here? Hold up. We got a dono come in from Phantom Knight. There were so many Mary Sue moments in the World Beyond episodes, so many coincidences of people bumping into each other and finds things out. All girls smart. Yeah, there was definitely some. What's a good way to put it? There's a way to do it where certain characters lack a certain type of depth because you have to keep it a certain way, you know? Like we talked about how in The Last of Us 2, for example, there was certain characters that, it didn't really matter what happened with their storyline because there was no real threat there because that group of creators can't kill gay characters. And for anyone who wants to go into that real quick and explain why, it simply means in their community, it's like against the rules because gay characters get killed off too much. So because that's in the rule book, when gay characters are in trouble, they're not going to get killed off. It's similar when you have people writing the same rules when it comes to female characters. We've seen it time and time again. What's going on in pop culture bleeds into the entertainment industry, and then we have women who have to be a certain way. They always got to be strong and independent and confident and yada, yada, yada. They have their flaws because you need it built in there, but a lot of the flaws don't have depth because it's like a superficial or sometimes a bullshit flaw. Like look at Hope, for example. One of her flaws was not believing in herself, that she's a genius. It's like, wow, that's a real good flaw there, guys, you know? I like characters that are real flawed, and the audience loves characters that are deeply flawed. Look at Shane. Shane is wildly flawed, selfish, flawed in a negative way. Shane's flaws are bad character traits, right? And people love him as a character. They might not agree and support with everything he did, and everything he did. However, what makes him more human and fleshes him out are the flaws that run deep. And you can't have those if your character is by a certain rule book done because of, I don't even know, identity politics would be the blanket to put it all in. You got to go into these stories, especially from a creator's perspective, and just think of a character, not think of every character's got to represent something for the world. You know, every little girl when they grow up from this point here. Some characters just need to be characters, have interesting stories, character development, and they'll grow to become the icon later on, like Ripley from Aliens. No one went in there and was like, oh, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this. It's a very fleshed out and organic character. And she grew to become an icon because she was a character that was written really, really well. Anyhow, they're doing the Ellie thing from Last of Us with Hope, aren't they? If they do that, I'm boycotting all the Walking Dead related. At this time, it doesn't appear to be that. At this time, it just appears to be she's super smart, and I shit you not. The whole cast of World Beyond is the equivalent of Tara being an amoeba multiplying herself into 6, and we have to follow her bullshit through 9 weeks. Wow. Whole concept there was kind of cool, but the way they executed it and the reasons for doing what they did was awful. Yeah, I can't really get behind the we need her to experience the world and that's going to make her, like, that was one of the driving moments, and the budget really shows. And I know people hate when I talk about the budget, but the budget is really important. You had a more slimmed down cast. If you really think about it, with all the big communities we had from the CRM, we basically had Elizabeth and some people with masks, some stormtroopers. And then you have Huck. So you got Elizabeth and Huck, some stormtroopers, and you had one like general. And the general was in it for like 2 scenes for a max of like 5 minutes of screen time. We didn't see any. We had a scientist in a room studying. Everything was as small as it gets, as tiny on a budget as it gets. For the lab work, for all the experiments, we saw one girl sitting in a room looking at zombies eating a sandwich. That's it. I mean, that's a tiny budget. That budget is starving. Same thing for the CRM. We get Elizabeth and some random extras in black, and then Huck. Again, that's a tiny budget what they're working on here. Not a lot. We don't see big groups, big CGI scenes of all of them. We get a little snippet in the first one, but even if you look at the individual scenes, this show is really slimmed down based on what is actually out there. If you look at the CRM or the CR, the Civic Republic itself, if you look at that and how big it should be and what it would encompass, there's a lot that's off screen. And that's because of the budget. They need to keep it down low. And when you do that, you take away from some of the moments, some of the scenes, and just how how it unfolds. When is HBO going to make Doomsday Kingdom TV series? Man, listen, not quick enough. That'd be the fucking bomb. First hour was literal trash, so boring, but I did like the second hour. Yeah, I was not thrilled on the first hour. I love Andrea because she was human and flawed. Laugh out loud. The show was so different after she died. I agree with that. Hopefully season 2 gets a bigger budget. Yeah, they might as well. But based on the ratings, I fucking doubt it. I doubt it. I expect season 2 to be a new, different twist with slimmed down and going on a little bit of a different direction. Is there anywhere on your channel where I can see your opinion on Fear the Walking Dead season 3? I heard you didn't like it, but you like flawed characters. Just curious and wanted to know if it exists. Well, if you're talking about flawed characters in specific, I doubt we covered them specifically, but I did cover season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead. Now, I do have a playlist, and I'll check real quick, but you should be able to find every single one of my Fear the Walking Dead videos on the playlist, which is all of them. I'm looking right now. I've got reviews for the Walking Dead comic, Let's Talk The Walking Dead, and it looks like if you go to reviews, go to reviews, The Walking Dead TV Universe. I have 184 videos for The Walking Dead TV Universe. All right. And I'm sorry, 184 videos. Did I say that right? I'm looking because YouTube has this weird glitch where they put other people's videos in your playlists. Have you ever, anyone with a channel noticed that? Like I have, look, I have this Gremlins scene analysis, Mother versus Gremlins. I mean, I clearly watched it. I don't know when, but it's on my playlist with my Walking Dead videos. Why is that? Remove. That's fucking weird. Anyway, so if you scroll down this, I'm trying to see if there's any other weird videos. You should find Fear the Walking Dead somewhere down there. I don't know what season it would be, though. Here's Fear the Walking Dead Season 2. Here's a bunch for Season 2. F you, Chris. Here we go. Fear the Walking Dead Season 3. Yo, matter of fact, I remember this season now. There was some people who said this was my favorite because I've trashed it. I fucking trashed it.
Presents, I'm Ronnie
Hayes,
and today...
Clean shaven.
That is it.
Wait, what? Oh, they're unlisted. That's probably why you can't see them. Yeah. All right, so they're unlisted, which means you have to go to the playlist. You cannot search them up at all. You have to go to the playlist, The Walking Dead TV Universe Reviews, and then scroll through the playlist. That's the only way you can watch the ones that are unlisted. I did that just because of the algorithm. When they changed it, I was like, yeah, I put them, a lot of them off, and I'll turn them back on later. Is there... What do we got here? It's just Ronnie. I'm confused. What's the point of the story? How is this related to Rick other than the CRM? It just feels so out of place with the overall story of The Walking Dead. Well, you might be looking at it wrong. This is not supposed to be about Rick. I warned people about this before because I saw a ton of people talking about, I'm only watching for Rick. I wonder if we'll see Rick in this. And I don't know where those comments come from. I think maybe it was AMC's really weird obsession with trying to lure people in with the false hope of seeing something that deals with Rick. This has dick to do with Rick, you know? Yes, Rick was taken by this community, but he's in a different part of this community. Rick has nothing to do, unless for season 2, they get so desperate, they beg Andrew Lincoln or give him half of the budget to let him cameo in one of the episodes, being like in the background or some fucking shit. This has nothing to do with Rick. And here's the thing. It shouldn't, because then you take away from the power of the storytelling for the cast in this show. What's the point of having a cast for this show if you're going to overshadow them with a more popular legendary character from the original? It was poor of them to do this interconnected world, because it's not the same as the Avengers where, you know, the superheroes jump in and out of each other's stories. Spider-Man swoops in to help with Civil War and all this other shit. It's not the same. Rick is with this group, but he might as well not even be mentioned because he has nothing to do with this story, these people, this world, these characters. He's in another part off to the side, and he's got nothing to do with it at all. Again, in season 2, maybe they get desperate and they include him, but for right now, he's got nothing to do with it. Praying the day and night for them not to make Aaron and Althea siblings. It'll be the stupidest shit. Oh, that would be pretty dumb. I found the show boring and acting very bad. The father is in trouble, but they are in no rush to get there. Too much convenient writing. Yeah, I've noticed that from time to time. They were kind of... The concept, when it's all said and done, I do like the theme song. It has won me over. The concept has something solid there that I thought really stumbled. I love the idea of the show and the story, but the way they executed it was horrible. It was drawn out beyond repair, and the dialogue was really weird and felt forced. Yeah, the dialogue had some real bad delivery to it. People thought Rick was in it because of the helicopter. That could be it. It could be the helicopter. But like I said, on social media, they did go overboard advertising it as... Oh, fuck me. I just exited out the... They did go overboard showcasing the connection within all the... Hold on, I just X'd out of my thing. Wayne said, I thought this show was a lead into the Rick movies. No. And again, I say this with the caveat that they could get desperate and they could include more Rick stuff in the movies. But this show cannot lead into the Rick movies in a way that gives it a ton of substance. Two reasons. One, people who watch the Rick movies will be in the dark because we'll give too much information leading into this one. It's not like Captain Marvel leading into Endgame, where they made it seem like, oh my God, you need to watch this because it flows into that. And then therefore you have a ton of fans who never even would have looked at, looked at showtimes buying multiple tickets. You know what I mean? Because they thought it had to do with this final event. Now, with the Rick stuff, first, it blocks out those that are only watching the Rick stuff, which is a ton. Think about it. You got millions that are going to watch the Rick movie. You can't even get a 500,000 people to watch World Beyond. I think there's only like 500,000 watching. So there's millions probably that will not have any idea what's going on because they're not going to watch World Beyond. Two, and most ways to lead into the Rick movies with World Beyond will actually overshadow what they're doing with World Beyond. If they're doing some kind of character development shit with Hope, would you give a fuck if as they're doing it, it's setting up and leading into Rick's story? Nope, because your focus is going to go right from Hope moving right over to Rick. Most people would. I would. Hope who? And I'd be looking at whatever's going on with Rick. Even if Hope is in the same fucking scene, that scene is no longer Hope. That scene is now Rick. Rick owns the scene. So there's two problems leading this into that. And again, it's not like with superheroes. Superheroes are very different. You put them in the scene and two titans own the scene in different ways. Now, by season 1 finale, I meant the whole CDC crap with Kirkman loathed the most. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the end. So basically, World Beyond is a glorified season 1 finale. It feels like a science fiction series than a horror show, something that Kirkman has been against. I feel like one of the missed opportunities with the show is the world building. There is a bit of it, but not enough. They should have went into the CRM more. I blame that on the budget. And again, that's because with the CRM and what we know of them and with what we can speculate from what we see, the CRM is big and it's a well-oiled machine. If you don't have the budget to show that, and don't forget, I'm pretty sure while they were filming this, it's kind of hard to remember, while they were, they were done with this before COVID, right? Let's pretend they weren't for the last bit. If you got COVID popping off, you got a limit. You can't do 700 people in the CRM army. You can now only do, let's say 10 CRM soldiers. So it depends on when budget and when it was filmed. It's really sad fans actually believed and thought and fought to the nail this was involved in the Rick movies. I have seen a handful. Luckily, from what I've seen, it was a small handful that really thought it had deep connections to the Rick movies. And again, I say luckily because that's just a lie. It's not real. Gremlins 3 will not be in CGI. Better not be. Rick already has a daughter, and her name is Little Ass Kicker. Yes, he does. If people expect to see Rick, it'll make people dislike the show. If they never show him, they should just watch for Hope and the other characters. Yeah, that's where it gets all tricky and convoluted, because people will get excited because it's intertwined, but in the same strength, you'll get more people that are like, okay, I don't care at all what's going on with the new characters and their story. Just let me see what's up with Rick and yada, yada, yada. So it just overshadows it. The CRM is being led by an evil Briton. How convenient. Rick will lead a revolt against the CRM. Well, that's another thing that's real tricky is right now it seems like the best play to finish out this story arc is to have Rick be somewhat involved in the CRM versus the Commonwealth. Because look, you got the CRM dressed in all black, and then you got the Commonwealth in all white. It's like polar opposites, you know? And even how the communities are run, you got one community, no one goes in, no one goes out type deal, or people who go in don't come out, and they only take the best of the best. And then you got the Commonwealth where, yeah, it's not structured nice. It's like people who, are lawyers and doctors, they get the wealth, and then people who actually help the help in a different way, but keep the whole city buzzing by fixing the electricity and the air conditioning and yada, yada, yada. They live in squalor. So it has this kind of bullshit setup. It has its problems, but on the same strength, they connect with other communities. They interact, and that's just based off of the comic. We don't know if they're going to change it for the show, but you see what I'm saying? So it's like two different, and eventually our heroes in the comic take over the Commonwealth, and Maggie becomes president, and they lead it, and Michonne becomes a lawyer. None of that likely is going to happen, but because Michonne's gone and all that. But it's set up perfectly to go against each other and be in those opposites. Even the coloring scheme is complete opposite: all white, all black. Now, if there was a way that's predictable, I guess the most predictable way would be having them go at it in a big war showdown. The reason why I say I'm iffy on how they're going to have that play out is, when is the first Rick movie going to air, and how much time is it going to showcase? Like, is the Rick movie going to air before season 11 or after season 11? If it's after, then the Rick movies are almost pointless if Rick is in the finale season and he helps, and then we see how Rick's story ends, but then we're going to go back to movies. Does anyone care if Rick came back in season 11 and we saw, what he was doing, and he helped take down the CRM? After that, would you guys care? And then his story ended effectively. Would you care to go back and see what happened to him? I mean, I'm a big Andrew Lincoln fan, so I would care, but I don't think many others would give a fuck, outside of like the core fan base. Because one of the key things isn't just keeping the core fan base happy. It's the core and the new. Whoever else, the core and more, let's call them. It's whoever else you can build off it. But if you're projecting only the core is going to check it out, it's probably not a smart investment. From the start, it felt like someone had the idea for a web series and then decided to put it on TV. Yeah. The Huck and Felix fight was the fight scene we never got with Beta, Daryl, and Negan, kinda. Yo, to be honest, it is. We should have gotten one with Beta, Negan, and Daryl. That would have been fucking awesome, We got robbed out of that, like in a miserable way. In one of the most miserable ways, period. Negan shows up, and he's all like, hey, what's going on? And, what's his name? Beta just throws a zombie at him. They fall on the ground, and then he gets stabbed in the face. It's like, oh my God, man. What, did you read a book on how to troll and disappoint fans in a huge way, and you just were like, fuck it, that's what I'm doing? Thoughts on The Last of Us 2 sweeping a fan-based award show and winning the fan votes for Game of the Year? Thoughts on it is looking into maybe how it's done. I don't know anything on the voting, but there's probably a strong chance it's bullshit. There's also a strong possibility that, now keep in mind, there's still a good chunk of the fan base that sucks The Last of Us dick no matter what. I mean, they won't say a bad thing about it at all, even though there's clearly, I ran into a few of them that are just like, no, you're picking out the smallest details. And it's like, okay, here's a trained killer for years now who was specifically training to kill, and then she was shooting at someone running away from 2 feet away and didn't hit a single shot. Why? Not because she's a bad aim, but because the person she was shooting at is a character that can't get shot. And then they poorly, put that scene in there like many others. And then people are like, oh no, you don't understand. She was Russian, all these other excuses. All you have to do is say, you know what? It's a perfect game, except for that scene was trash. Yeah, that's it. But some of these people are like, no, it's the greatest ever. Now, here's where I will kind of submit. Is it the greatest in 2020? Because that's the deciding factor. How great it is compared to the other games that came out. Now, I think I enjoyed, and this is shocking for anyone who doesn't know my background, I enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima probably twice as much as, or maybe 10 times as much as I enjoyed The Last of Us. Now, here's where it gets real kind of muddy. The Last of Us world and gameplay, though, is probably on par with, my perfect dream of what a video game post-apocalyptic could be and would be, and something that, it's right up my alley with what I would love. Which the reason it's so shocking, though, is the story is so trash. It's so miserably wasteful. It's almost like nothing. You took the story from one, and the next game you did was, oh, let's have something bad happen, and then she goes to get the revenge, and then yada, yada, yada. And then at the end of the game, it's like, wow, a lot happened and it's such a waste. All these characters that just got wasted. Joel got wasted. Tommy got wasted. Who else got wasted? It's just even what's her name? The girlfriend. She got wasted. Jesse got wasted. So much that was just wasted. Just fuck, man. Unless I saw, or maybe a confident, proof on how it was set up, was it honest? In my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow, some way, the super fans made like 50,000 accounts, because we've seen that. What was it? Like 2 years ago, there was something post I was reading where these sicko super fans were talking on like a Reddit or something, and they were making numerous accounts to vote for whatever their video game was. I felt like it was on Nintendo, it was one of those, it was something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they did. What character do you think they will cross over to help with the ratings? So season 4, Fear all over again? Cross over with what? I don't think they should cross over any character. They only have one season left. They should just, get it out of the way. Just do it, get it done, and leave. What is CRM about? It's just a hardened group of survivors that have a pretty solid structure now. No, yeah, we're going to have to flat out agree, about it doesn't matter if the story is good. It got people talking, bro. I'm going to have to like that. Yeah, that's, I could come out with, I'm trying to pick something that's fire right now. Pretend Star Wars is like, it just coming back for the first time and fans are like fucking nuts. And I'm like, you know what? I wrote the new Star Wars movie, and the scroll comes up and Leia's fucking blowing Luke, and he, uses the Force to shoot her back through the fucking window. She flies out of the Millennium Falcon, and then the space just turns her into dust, and then Han Solo runs in, gets sucked out the window. All this other stupid, ridiculous shit happens, kills everybody, and then I introduce the worst characters ever. The fans are so enraged, it's trending for months with their hatred and vitriol. According to your standard, that is worth awards because it got people talking, and that's all that matters. Bro, we are so on opposite ends of the spectrum. That's not even funny. It got people talking. I'm sure it got people talking where you think all the people like, because there was some real babies playing this game where they're like, I don't want to punch the girl. It's making me punch the girl. And they were like just devastated. And it's like, holy fuck. You got a bunch of morons that don't understand they're being manipulated. You got this girl who's starved and weakened now. And I think it was a great visual, but it's this manipulation that some people just can't see through. Where it's like bringing a dog in front of you. If I brought you a rabid, vicious, meaty, chunky, healthy, blood curdling or blood snarling mutt of a bitch, and I'm like, listen, I'm letting this dog loose. It's going to bite your face off. You need to shoot the dog. You're going to shoot the dog, no problem. But then if I brought a puppy in front of you, totally different story. The end of The Last of Us is the puppy. All it is a manipulative trick. I had a really clever way to put it before, but it's just a trick. You took the big vicious dog, the hulking muscular Abby, and then you starve her, beat her, torture her, and then put her up on a pole. Now she's a puppy. Of course people are going to be like, oh, this is rather uncomfortable having to punch the bitch, you know? I don't see that as like, whoa. I see that as, all right, you manipulated people. Anyone can fucking do that. I don't understand how that's like, that gets people talking. Is it uncomfortable to beat on someone who's like starved, especially with our graphics? It looks fucking amazing. It's great, you know? But again, that type of manipulation, it's just cheap. It's a cheap trick. Sorry. And I just don't agree. People talking is not, it doesn't mean they deserve awards. I will admit the landscape, the visuals, even the soundtrack, the sounds. Yeah, I will say the sounds. Because when even the clickers themselves have a totally different sound, more immersive, just how they function, operate, all those awards, I'm probably with you on that. Story and similar with any character awards, that's where I'm going to pump the brakes and say, oof, we're getting into fanboy territory, because story itself, if you break it down, take the manipulation out, it's got such a pitiful foundation. You're not selling me on the story when it comes to that. No, at least when you take the manipulation out, I'm not falling for it. So what character do you think they will crawl? Yeah, I already read that. In before Aretas overhyped the episode to be the equivalent of the long night on Game of Thrones, yet we got them sneaking into the herd and led the walkers off a cliff. Did he overhype it? I might have missed that. They always overhype them, though. Horror Movie Hustle with a dono. Thank you very much for the support, homie. In your opinion, what are some good aspects to use rather than conflict concerning writing an action-based story? I'm not going to go over, some screenplay stuff in depth, only because we had it 4 and 5 times, and people always retort back to, no, that's not the answer I was looking for. Let me read it again, maybe see. In your opinion, what are some good character aspects to use rather than conflict? Okay, I think conflict is overrated because they throw it in a way that's not organic. So, all right, so take conflict out. Concerning writing an action-based story. If you're going to take all the conflict out of that, let's pick one thing. What would be something good? Well, that's tricky. I was going to say goals. Goals, when it comes to action-based, goals help drive certain things. And again, these are fucking hard when you're staying real general. Goals outside of conflict would be something, because that's where it gets tricky now, because a certain way to do it would be to set up certain goals, and then like action based, let's say, a character having to what's that fucking wild movie Crank where he's on drugs and he has to go and yada yada yada. Even if you had like an action adventure type, there's usually a lot of traveling in those, but I would have to say goals outside of conflict, working those in the character. Can I even come up with a good idea outside of, which again, conflict is organically and artificially sprinkled into a lot of things, and I'm not talking because it's all fake, it's all just put together, but how it deals with your immersion is what matters when it comes to it being organic or not. What else? Goals. Action based. Thinking I want to give you something good. Do you think if the show was universally acclaimed, they would stretch it out longer than 2 seasons? Yeah, I said that before. I do think so. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with goals right now as one in particular. I would like some time to digest that and give you something that was real meaty. But I'm trying to picture an action-based story totally and completely stripped of conflict and focusing on the characters' goals and what they're trying to accomplish. And again, you're gonna. There's no way you're not gonna avoid some conflict sprinkled in there. There's no way. Even if it's not character-based conflict, like a mountain. Character needs to get from A to B, but there's a fucking mountain in his way. That's a sort of, that's part of the conflict within the scene. It's not character-based. Maybe it's environmental-based, but I would have to say focus on their goals. I guess it's the best thing when opinions... Wait, hold on. Let me back it up some. Have you watched the fan-made 10-minute short film Gremlins Recall? Not bad for... No, I'll have to look it up, though. I guess that's the best thing about opinions. Some people truly did like Abby. Well, here's where it gets tricky. I think it matters on isolation. If they come out, and I'm pretty sure they will, unless they feel like it's not viable, if they come out with an Abby only game, and again, this is where it gets really tricky because it has to be Abby with competition. Because if somebody, let's say we did in a miracle world, let's say we got funding and we created a game that played and looked identical to The Last of Us. Now there's competition. Because again, if as much as I loved part 1 of The Last of Us, if you gave me a new game with new characters that played like The Last of Us Part 2, I wouldn't touch Last of Us 2 ever again. I'd have no reason to, because the story is just so worthless, even though it is a gorgeous game. It is so gorgeous. For a game that's a part 1, it would be an amazing game, right? But as a sequel, it's just dog shit, minus those horrible, shooting in front 2 feet away and don't hit anything, convenient moments. But when it comes to if they sell a game with Abby only, or Abby is the main and not like Ellie is advertised, but it's really half Abby. If Abby is the main, and if there's some type of competition out there, video game wise, and it still sells gangbusters, then I'd be like, you know what? It won them over. But if Abby is on the game, and let's say there's no competition, let's say no one else puts out a Last of Us like game, and in order to play in that world and environment, you have to play Last of Us 3 or Last of Us Abby Edition or Abby Reboot, whatever it is, and the sales don't do as good as part 2, then it's an absolute failure. You know what I mean? It's at a legendary status, in a iconic status now, where anything of dropping below what it did previously and not at least matching it would just be an absolute fail. Because you're always going to find people that like things. Like, I don't hate Abby. When I think about it, I think it is, it's kind of a waste. It's like the Abby, like I said, Abby is a part 1 character, it would be kind of cool. But knowing that we could have had all these other different versions of the story, but this is the turd that slid out of Neil Druckmann's mind ass, knowing that that's what it is, it was kind of like, oof, because there's people that really like prostitutes that shit in their mouth. I mean, it's shit, but they still want it, So if there's people that enjoy that, obviously you're going to get people that enjoy Abby. She's not like the worst character ever. I liked Abby in the trailer. I was fine with, especially the representation, and we're talking about not obsessive representation. We're talking about, this is cool. We get a female character that is more of the bodybuilder type. They need to explain that, and they did a shitty job, but still, it's cool because how many characters do you know in a video game or a movie that are female bodybuilders? I mean, they're out there. They're real women. They used a model of a real woman's body to do it. It was cool and different, and you can come up with some really brutal and badass scenes. I'm not even against Abby. I'm against the wastefulness of the overall narrative. It was a fucking reboot, Let's call it what it is. Neil Druckmann was ashamed he made a white guy the lead of part 1, and he rebooted it with part 2. I mean, let's just be real with what it is. I'm the one who won the giveaway. I will buy the next volume and future stories of Doomsday Kingdom. I made my Instagram on public for James to see my post. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I had to follow you to check it out because Spin told me that you got the book. I'm glad to hear you enjoyed it, and congrats for winning the book. That's pretty friggin' awesome. And again, thanks Spin for doing the giveaway. That was totally her, and I thought that was a fantastic idea. I hear you on The Last of Us, and I need to say it as much as I love the game and the story. Ellie was so unlikable. Bro, that shit broke my heart, man. My daughter was a Last of Us nut. She played, and I didn't say shit about the ending. She played The Last of Us, and by the end, she was, you can't even say the word Ellie in front of her now. She was like a nut fan. She used to mock me all the time talking about how I hope Joel dies in part 2 and yada yada. Just tease me because I loved Joel like crazy, right? And she used to joke all the time, and I thought she would come away from the game, liking it and being kind of like, I don't know about some of the stuff, but she came away from the game being like, at least the worst character fucking ever. I hate her guts. And I'm like, whoa, are you sure? Even I wanted her to like the game because I'm not going to take how I feel and say, I don't like it, my daughter should hate it. No, I even encouraged her to lighten up. Ellie was seeing things a bit different, you know what I mean? It's not going to solve anything. It's this other girl is in a weaker state. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a chance to stop the cycle of violence and yada yada. No matter what I said, my daughter was like, nah, fuck Ellie. She's a stupid bitch. She had Ellie posters hanging in her room. She defaced them, Joel is fine. He's in the poster chilling. Ellie's got her face scratched out. My daughter was fucking pissed, man, which is crazy. God, that says a lot. Hated Tara so much. It's sad when you realize the Tara-only episode in The Walking Dead had a higher Rotten Tomatoes score than all of World Beyond. Wow, that does say a lot. Cody, my man, I didn't see you there. Thank you very much for the dono. It helps greatly. How's it going, Ronnie? How have you been enjoying Fear the Walking Dead and World Beyond? I'm enjoying Fear the Walking Dead. However, we have hit a point to where I'm enjoying it for a one and done. I watch it once and that's it. I already can guess there's a very slim likelihood I'll ever rewatch the episodes. They're good for a one and done. They don't have the rewatchability factor, in my opinion, unless maybe in 20 years I forget half of it and then revisit it with a different pair of eyes. When will you be doing the stream featuring the DDK fan reviews and unboxing videos? Not for a while. We have the sketches and the original art that didn't even ship yet because we're waiting for the art to come from the UK with customs and all that. So it's going to be a few weeks yet. I will give you guys a heads up before we even do that. I want to make sure everyone gets their books and then we'll do one. In my opinion, The Last of Us should have never gotten a sequel. Whenever I think of the first game and how great it was, I can't avoid thinking part 2 ruined it all. Yeah, bro. I mean, and here's the thing. I know some people are going to love it no matter what. That's fine. Love it. I wish I loved it the way you're loving it. Some of y'all out there. When I think about it, I think of how epic, part 1 was. And even just thinking about part 2 and wanting to just tell your mind, like, because it's easy to do. It's not like, Sharknado, where you sit down and you're like, this is terrible. And if you love, it's so bad it's good, fine. I'm not really a big fan of It's So Bad It's Good. Never really was. Rarely am I a fan of that. However, even when I try to force myself to like Last of Us 2, it's just hard because it's a total waste. Now, keep in mind, I played it 3 full times. I didn't just play it and then give up on it. I played it all on my own, just off stream, on stream, off stream, and then I played it doing a video series. I played half of it, all Ellie stuff, and it brought me to the point where I promised us we would do Last of Us Flaw and All. Bro, I'm not doing it. It's so bad. I'm not putting myself through it. I'm not going to, because if I commit to 1, 2, or 3 of them, I'm going to have to do all of them. And it'll take like 40 videos to do all of Last of Us as a flaw and all, a true flaw and all. I know people say, well, change it up, do this and this, and then it won't be a flaw and all though. But what I'm saying is it's easy to force yourself or trick yourself or talk yourself into liking The Last of Us because it is a gorgeous game. And again, because as a first title, like if Last of Us Part 2 was a totally different game and it was a Part 1, it would actually be a really solid game, minus some of those really stupid, convenient moments like the gun scene I talk about. There's a handful of them. When you go back and rewatch it, there's some moments that are so fucking stupid. It's amazing it's actually in a finished product like this. Anyhow, so when you look at it, because it's so beautiful, it's easy to go, yeah, it's just a cold world and shit happens and blah, blah, blah. But the cold truth is, at the end of the day, when you look at it as a story that's being told, that's it. I mean, it's such a fucking waste. By the end of it, it's like, okay, so, Joel's gone, she's missing fingers, and that's it. Fucking done. It's like, that's it. The only thing it does do is it sets up what could potentially be the real sequel, which, again, in my opinion, Part 2 was a reboot. It wasn't a sequel. We'll only know when Part 3 comes out if that's the real deal or not. All right, here's the thing of what I love about Last of Us 2 is that they hit the bullseye with what they intended with the story. Well, here's the thing is, what you said right there as a sentence could be interpreted as something totally different, because I could say, bro, well then everyone who buys my book needs to love it because I hit the bullseye of what I intended to tell with the story. I mean, most writers and most, creators, not often, I wouldn't speculate to say they all do, but even with shitty movies, I see the writers go, yeah, this was right exactly what we wanted. I'm so proud of this. And you watch their movie and it's like, oof, that was a turd. So it's hard to see what you're getting at with that specific sentence, because again, they hit the bullseye. Do you mean, how it works, or do you mean just like with them themselves? Because if that's the case, then I'm gonna say okay, but I don't know how that works as far as, you feel me though, because every writer thinks they hit the bullseye or what they intended. Oh, you continue. Hold on. Wait. I think you continue going down. Let me read it. All right, here's the thing of what I love about Last of Us 2. They hit the bullseye with what they intended with the story, and then you continued here. They were focusing on the cycle of violence, Joel killing Abby's father, and thus killed in front of vengeance and lost her father figure. She was out for vengeance. I'm going to assume you continue it down here. For all we know, Joel had it coming. That's probably why it didn't hit me as much, because I was never fond of Joel to begin with. In fact, I felt for Abby. I just appreciate that I get where every character comes from Ellie letting Abby live at the end just because she envisioned Joel smiling at her. Wait, what? I get where every character coming from other than Ellie letting Abby live just because Joel smiling at her. Oh, all right. You're saying you get all of them except for the Ellie part. I will agree with you that I see the cycle of violence, yada, yada, yada. And this is where it gets tricky trying to break down the whole, like, I see the cycle. I see what they're going for. I've listened to the interviews. I've nodded along. They've done that. Like, it is a cycle. I see it all, yada, yada, yada. I even like the whole Abby being the doctor's daughter and blah, blah, blah. I know a long time ago we speculated it would be a Firefly's sibling anyway, or I think we talked about, on this channel, we talked about Sons of the Fireflies or some shit like that, I remember. And again, this was like one of the most predictable ideas of a sequel. Sons of the Fireflies going to get revenge, but kidnapping Ellie. And then we had this, Joel was there and it would eventually sacrifice himself and yada, yada, yada. But so I'm cool with pretty much most of that. My main point is still, at the end of the day, you took such an iconic story and iconic characters, and even with the cycle of violence, it's a waste because it's not interesting. And again, this is for me. Everyone out there could be like, you're crazy. It was interesting. It was fun. It was yada, yada, yada. I didn't come away from the game going, oh, I'm so torn. I just felt like it's a waste. Why? Because if I killed Abby right there, the game's wasted, because I didn't do dick. I didn't do anything. I was hiding in grass. I fucking loved the gameplay. Oh my God. But outside of that, story-wise, I didn't do anything. And then same thing for if I let Abby live. Kill Abby, the game is dog shit because nothing happened. It was a waste. And then if I let Abby live, nothing happened because I let Abby live. You know what I mean? For me, it's a waste no matter how it ended. Wait, but wouldn't that be like saying the show The Walking Dead is a soft reboot because they put Rick out of the picture and are moving Judith to the front, so AMC is the shame of Rick? No, that's blatantly not at all. If you took Judith and she was in a coma and she woke up and she did the same fucking thing and it was about her trying to find her new family and it literally was the same story beats, then yeah, I was in my one of my older videos, I took you can go watch it. It's on the channel. I took Abby's story. You have Joel and Ellie, and you have Abby and Lev. All their story points are the same as Joel in part 1, even in the words they fucking say. Like Joel tells his daughter Sarah to scooch, and then later on, and it's little shit like this. It's not an accident. It's all identical. From the words, from the actions, like when Abby meets Lev, she doesn't want to fucking do anything with her, help her. It's kind of like that problem that you're dealing with. Same thing for Joel. It's literally identical of Abby and Lev being the new Joel and Ellie. The words they say, the dialogue, the story beats, They all match up. Man, it's been a while. I forget some of the more finer details. But I got a video. That's a reboot because it all matches up and it redoes it. Just simply saying Rick is gone and Judith is in, that I'm sorry, you're being ridiculous. Or maybe you're thinking I'm being ridiculous. It's not the same at all. It's not even close to being the same. Left my last ass off. Just realized I bought a sketch along with the book, and that's why I don't see a tracking number. Okay. If you got a sketch with the book, they're going to be going out, I'm hoping, this week. I'm hoping. We have 2 boxes in the UK customs sitting there as well. I don't fucking get it. I sent 3 boxes all at the same, and they're leaking out of customs one at a time. The Huck and Felix fight made me realize it was better than 2 grown men running around a tree in The Walking Dead. Rick and Negan. Yeah, it was better. The story was intended to make us feel uncomfortable, and I felt every bit of emotion they intended. Well, that's fine. I mean, you clearly love it, and I don't want to talk you out of loving it. I mean, I'm happy with people loving it, because then it makes it easier to replay it and enjoy it. I'm just saying there's literally nothing in the world anyone could say they'll turn me around. I tried to convince myself it's not. I think it is one of the best games I've ever played in my life, and it's simultaneously the absolute worst sequel I've ever played in my life. And again, it's because when I was done with it, I didn't feel that. I mean, I can see why people would feel uncomfortable, but again, in my opinion, it's cheap. It's because they put a puppy in front of you and they made you kill it or try to kill it. And some of those tricks, I just couldn't get into it. Like some of the manipulation with having you hunting Ellie down, it just came off as kind of forced, and it just wasn't fun. It wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't my cup of tea. No, I don't think you're coming off aggressive. You're good. I want more than anything to see my all-time 3 favorite Walking Dead characters, Rick, Dwayne, and Morgan, share a scene together, preferably in the movies. That'd be so cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. I see Morgan in one of your characters in Doomsday Kingdom. I don't know. I feel like Lenny James could play him. Oh, nice. Which one? Great job with the story, Ronnie. You definitely got me wanting to know what happens next. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, wait, you said up here, I finished reading Doomsday Kingdom Volume 1 yesterday. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to getting the next book. Yeah, I'm fucking hyped. The next one, we kind of take a little side street, and we have a little bit of fun for a bit. Now that we have enough setup, we can have some fun. And I can't wait. Because the more and more that comes out, the more and more it's fleshing it out to kind of reveal some more of the differences. Because when you first start, it's, you only have so much you're working with to kind of showcase the differences without sitting down and saying, here's a character that's explaining. No, it's going to be a little confusing because, again, there's different stages. But it's confusing for the characters in that world because they don't know what's going on. Like we ran into, in the first volume, we have characters that ran into 2 different types of zombies. And again, we're not talking about smart zombies. We're not talking about zombies that talk. We're not talking about anything like that. But there are 2 distinctively different types of zombies. And for the characters and for the reader, it's supposed to kind of be like really subtle clues that say there is a difference right now. And it'll be even more fleshed out. And by the 3rd volume, you should pretty much have it totally under wraps of the first 2 stages. One of the other stages coming up is kind of like a transition, stage, and then another stage is a little bit later on, so that'll take a bit to get to. But I was fleshing that look out a little bit before I give the idea to the artist, and that's gonna be fucking wild. Quick question, something I realized: what was the point of Hope killing Ethan's mom? Unless something big happens with it in season 2, there was no point or repercussions. I think it was just they needed drama along the way, and that was something that was easily incorporated into the story because it was really lazy. He literally found, a gift that he had when he was running away that was out in the middle of nowhere in the world. It's like, wow. It's not like they even went to that spot to look for it. They were just walking down a random road, and he found his actual fossil that his dad gave him, or his mother gave him. I think there was no point except for to add tension between the characters. I love part 2, but I look at it as a trilogy. Which part 2s are supposed to be the lowest point in the series, or typically are? In that way, I anticipate part 3 will end hopeful. Are you talking about Last of Us? there's a good chance I'm out on part 3. I will definitely play it just for the world, but there's no fucking way I'm giving them full price after the bullshit with 2. And I supported 2 100%. When the leaks came out, and I kept my pre-order, I bought the collector's edition. I still go back and forth because I love the idea of Ellie as far as the looks, the clickers, the world. Joel, in part 2, I love all the looks, but again, I just feel like the story was just a waste. I don't know. Ellie's decision at the end of part 2 is easier to accept when viewing it, as Ellie realizing Joel was always going to die for his sins, something he was okay with. Yeah, this is another thing that I know people go back and forth with, and from my angle, again, her decision doesn't matter to me. Because even if she went through with it, it's still a waste, because nothing happened. Even if she does the deed, it's a waste of a part 2. And even if she doesn't do the deed, which is she doesn't do it, it's still a waste because what the fuck did we do this whole time? I'm not pissing around with these emotional manipulation and calling that great. I'm out of that. I mean, I get why people love it. There's other movies and games that are manipulative and it works, and I'm like, okay, you got me there. But for this one, it just didn't work. But paralleling Joel and Ellie doesn't necessarily make it a reboot. But if that's not a reboot for you, go right ahead. It's a reboot in my eyes, 100%. They took in part 2. Not only did you supposedly play a sequel, but you played part 1 all fucking over again. And I mean all over again. Trust me, go watch my video I made where, even after the video, I found like a dozen more things that lined up where they repeated what they did in part 1. If that's not a reboot for you, then fine. In my eyes, it's a reboot. He made part 1, and, he's on the left side, let's be honest, and he's, liberal. I don't know what he would specify it, but the reviewers that lean left slammed him for having a straight male white lead. I don't know why that fucking matters. They railed him for it. So with the sequel, he got that out of the way, and we retold the story from part 1 with a trans character and a strong, independent, muscular female replacing the Joel character. It's a fucking reboot. And part 3 will probably solidify it, taking place with Abby being the lead and maybe Ellie doing a cameo. In my opinion, they should just leave Ellie the fuck out of it. Maybe make a Joel game, which they'll never do. I don't think, if Neil Druckmann is in charge, I don't think he'll ever do it. But it would be awesome if they made a Neil game with Tommy before he meets Ellie in those years that was supposed to be like a living nightmare. I think that'd be fucking fly. I think it would have been a lot better if they let Ellie kill Abby in part 2 and then Firefly seek out revenge for Abby's death, set up part 3, and let the story come full circle. Well, the only problem there is you'd have to change more of the story. Now you're going and tweaking. And again, to me, I don't give a fuck either way because it's nothing. It's a waste no matter what happens, because the story in the beginning was, what it all set it off and all their background and how it flowed out. It's just nothing happened. Nothing really happened. Now with the Fireflies, you're going to have to go and rewrite it because Abby didn't meet the Fireflies until after the fact, So after the point in time where Abby would have died, she met the Fireflies after the game ended. You know what I'm saying? So you'd have to go and rewrite it. And that is confirmed that, for anyone who doesn't know, that final menu screen is in fact Abby and Lev getting to the Fireflies, the new group of Fireflies. Yeah, Soul Raiden, there's no way you're convincing me, bro. You can try again. In my eyes, it's a reboot. It's 100% a reboot. You can explain what it does. I already know what it does. I've played the game myself multiple times. I've watched some interviews from the writers and creators and the behind the scenes. I know a lot of people regurgitate the same stuff, and no offense, it's the same stuff I'd be regurgitating too if I was, watching the meaning of the scenes and stuff like that. But it still just redid part one. It redid it again. There should have been a choice to kill or spare Abby at the end. I'm not really big on choices because I like it to be canon. I like to play the writer's, vision. But again, for me, for anyone out there, I can see why they would love that choice. I think rarely I would agree with it, but I think it would have added something to it. But I will say I'm shit out of luck because I think it's a waste either way. The story in between was just an absolute waste. I mean, for the love of God, when you go back and replay Ellie's story, even her maps are so lush and beautiful and huge and fucking boring as shit. You walk around so much with no enemies, no clickers. For half of her gameplay, it's these big sprawling locations with barely any action. And then you get to Abby's and then it's like, oh, this is where they put their focus. And they even admitted they started with Abby and it was a small part and it grew and grew and grew. And then next thing you know, Abby was like their focus. And the gameplay shows because Ellie's gameplay is really boring outside of one or two specific levels that are like, yo, that's fire. They should be bigger though, but they're still fire. Like when Owen tells Abby, maybe we stop looking for the light. I don't know what you're connecting that to. Do you think Dr. Bennett is alive or is he a walker? Isn't he the guy we saw? Oh, wait a minute. You're talking about the girl's father? They showed him alive. So I think he's alive for right now, in my opinion. Jason says, hey Ronnie, how long did it take you to write your book and did you ever get writer's block? Doomsday Kingdom isn't a fair book to judge on how long did it take to write because I started it as a screenplay. It got too big. I was going to do a trilogy of movies with it, but you don't just show up in Hollywood and say, I have a trilogy. So I took it from a screenplay and turned it into a novel. And then when I got interested in putting it into a comic book format, I broke it down from, bounced around about the two different ideas I had, bringing it to light into a comic format. So it's unfair because I guess it's a little quicker than someone who just starts totally fresh. Or maybe it's a little more in depth because I know what's going to happen. Like I know what's going to happen in issue 50. A lot of writers, most comic writers, if not all, they don't know what's going to happen in issue 50. It's impossible. It's only possible because I wrote it as a novel first. So I did a scroll outline. But how long does it take? Let's say it takes a month on average to write, let's say 3 weeks on average to write one comic. So that's a good average. And that's in order to keep on track with a once a month release, which is what you got to do. And yeah, I get writer's block. Unless there's a deadline, my writer's block has been real smooth sailing. I've hit a few parts where the story just wasn't right with what I was doing. And what I do for that is I just take a break, focus on something else, and I let that sit until I have to get back to it. And almost every time, when I'm naturally chill, ideas will start flowing, and then I'll figure out that puzzle piece to fix the writer's block. Jason Paris put, Map, with your question, I'll repost it here. Hi, Ronnie. How long did it take you to write your book, and did you ever get... Oh, wait, I just read that one. Wait, what? Oh, I see. He didn't put that. The leaks hurt the game the most, more than Joel's death itself. I think the leaks did hurt. Well, I think so, because we saw the sales of Last of Us plummet. I mean, it dropped like 80%, which is common for some titles, but for The Last of Us, I think the sales did take a hit, not just for the leaks, but for the story itself. No, you can't deny it. There's still a good chunk of the fan base. even 30%, which is relatively small compared to 90% that was happy, even at 30% of the fan base, if that's the number, that's still a big chunk of fans that were like, nah, bro. If that was a YouTube video, that would be a fail, you know? But because it's a game that made a fuck ton of money, everyone just counts it as a win. The Last of Us 2 is problematic, period. Objectively, not even subjectively. Objectively, you can forget all the people who had stupid, like, I don't give a fuck if you didn't like it because the bitch had muscles. I agree it's dumb because they didn't put a realistic purpose for how she obtained those muscles. They had the real actor on stage, the body double. And they could have asked her, hey, what do you do when you wake up? And you know what she'll say? I have a very strict regimen of I eat this, I do this workout, I eat this, I do this workout. I've been doing it for fucking 7 years straight, you know? And then when Abby wakes up, she's not doing that. She's eating a fucking burrito, going to the gym, and then doing her what is it? Whatever group she's with, she's doing shit for them. So no, Abby shouldn't have looked like that, but whatever. That's a smaller thing. I don't know what this is connected to. What reviewers ? Joel was consistently on top characters of the year list, even from most left-leaning publications. Yeah, if you go and look them up, if you're really looking, you'll find a few that slam it. I looked it up for someone when we did that video, and I think it took me 10 seconds to find the first one where they slammed him for doing a white lead. And keep in mind, we're not talking, if you're going and you're thinking every publication is going to come out with shit talking Joel being a white lead, that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for some of those stinging ones like Anita Sarkeesian and a couple others that Neil Druckmann is going to focus a little more on what they say, and he's going to take it to heart a little more. Every reviewer on YouTube probably loved Joel. Yeah, that's most likely how it happened. But you got to look at what that small cluster and circle is and how it affects them and what they're doing. There were some debates on whether Joel is the villain of part 1 and he was the villain of part 2. I think those are kind of fun, like people's perspective going back and forth. I like them though because people are a mix of a good and bad a lot of times. I mean, you can even look at documentaries from serial killers and they'll have home footage of the serial killer, you know, playing with, what was it? Like Ted Bundy, for example, in the yard, playing with his girlfriend's kids and they're having a ball and he takes them out for ice cream and yada yada. In that snapshot, he's a fantastic human being. However, the whole picture is dramatically different. That's what I really like about not just deeply flawed, but really human characters, is they can have those fucked up things. You can have someone who's truly in his heart, he's a good person. However, you say these 8 people in the hallway, these soldiers, they're going to, you know, take that person's daughter or son or wife or whatever, and they're going to put them in a different facility, and you guys aren't going to see each other again. And that person might just get up, nicest person in the world, and he might brutally murder everybody just to get to his family member. I mean, I like those more organic mixes of characters. I think all narratives are manipulation. You write with the purpose of making the audience emotionally attached with a story. Yeah, there is. I will say there's definitely manipulation within writing, and it's even fun to do. But there's a difference between cheap manipulation, like with Last of Us. You show up and she's starved and skinny, and it's just cheap. You know, it's not built into the story. It's not something you go through with her. It's just you show up, bam, and it is purposefully and condensed in that moment with the type of fight, the structure of how it plays out, the hand-to-hand, the brutality. I think that's just a little cheap. And here's the thing. I like how it was done. I like the hand-to-hand and the brutality of it. It's fucking awesome, you know? But I think it was just too cheap to win me over. Have you seen the actor? And I will disagree, though. not all narratives are manipulation. First off, I think that's statistically impossible because all things usually can't be something. There's always going to be that one off or two off. But I will say a lot of narratives have manipulation in it. A lot of them. Have you seen the actor with the face of Abby? Yo, I've seen her. She looks a lot better than how she looks in the game. That's because she smiles. She actually has presence and a character and charm about her. Abby just has this bitchy grunt look on her face. But the face model is fucking awesome. She did this Halloween thing where she dressed up like Abby. And I think the girl who did, was it Dina? Dressed up like Dina? Was it Dina and Abby? But yo, they're a fucking riot, man. She put on like fake muscles or muscle t-shirt or something like that. I don't know. But it was a fucking riot. And it's so amazing seeing how video game graphics can make it seem so strange when you see that video game character and then you see the real life face model and you're like, bro, this video game shit has gotten fucking wild, man. You know, it is so cool. But yeah, I've seen some of the stuff she posted and it's cool. I think the cycle of violence concept that Neil Druckmann wanted doesn't fit well in this game. For me, it didn't fit well just simply because of the first title and what follows. There is definitely this overflow of or a streaming flow of violence within the first game, and I wouldn't even have minded if they incorporated that into a spill-off that did something with a little more weight to it instead of, again, something that just felt wasted. In a way, yeah, I was going to say, in a way, you can chalk it up to... you know, sometimes real life gets like that. Like some nonsensical shit just ruins, you know, cuts someone down in their prime type. It's unfair. It's bullshit. And I do like some of that rawness in entertainment, but we have to think at the end of the day, you know, we're in entertainment, for the overall emotional I was going to say emotional fornication, but you get what I'm saying, you know? You want all those emotions, and you want to feel happy, glad, relieved. You want to feel the tension, sadness, you know? That's a part of escapism, and really good escapism makes you feel a range of emotions. And you don't want them to feel like, wow, that just kind of was a waste. I don't think Ellie's gameplay wasn't the focus. I think it's the nature of pacing the game. Ellie's sections, unfortunately, need to be easier, hence less enemies. I'm not going to fall for that one. No, I don't believe it needs to be easier. I don't think that makes any sense. I don't think there's any pacing reasons because you essentially have two sets of story that I understand practical reasons. Like, for example, when they're on the horse, I thought when I was replaying it, it would be amazing if there was some clickers in the high grass. And it looks so fucking cool, and it's beautiful with the cars and the clickers. And then I was thinking, why didn't they do that? Well, there's a practical reason, because it would be a lot harder to incorporate the mechanics to have the horse fighting clickers and zombies. And then maybe, well, the horses should always run away. It was clearly difficult for them to incorporate clickers versus horses. So what they did is they just took it out of the game, or didn't put it in the game, because it's not anywhere inside the game whatsoever. Every time you're on the horse, you're just traveling. When you get off the horse and then you go across some barrier where the clickers can't get to the horses, that's where you run, like in buildings and over, you know, stone walls and shit like that. So I get practically, for those reasons, why it wasn't incorporated in the game. But when you hit moments where there's like these huge sections of different, I'm trying to think of the name, man. What is the fucking name? It is, I remember she pushes a dumpster. She goes in one apartment building. It's like a bunch of storefronts and yada yada yada. Fuck, where is it? It's after they leave the school, so it's after East Millbrook, because they're on foot. That section has huge open areas where you don't even run into a clicker. You're in buildings, out of buildings, down streets, up streets, and the characters are chatting back and forth. And it seems like they focused on the character interaction between the two characters, but it just didn't work and have as much weight. I felt like it could have had a better balance of having enemies there, a little more enemies, even if it was the infected, would have been great, actually, blended with some of that interaction. Do you ever think you will incorporate a Negan type character with obnoxious dialogue, with constant F-bombs and such? Probably not, just because Negan is so known for the overuse. We're going to have characters that are, sail like a trucker, but Negan's is specific, which makes it a little easier to do a character that is like that curses like a trucker. But Negan is a ridiculous combination of the fuckwit, fuck not, he does that type of shit. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to just do what Negan does. But sure, you're going to have some characters there that curse a lot heavier than others. Abby must have smelled real bad. Yep. The chemistry between Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker is so rare that in part 2 is a shame. Any scenario with both of them is so magnetic that Neil's Joel story was over. Excuse blows. Yeah, I think the whole Joel story was over. Bullshit was terrible. We talked about what more could have happened from Joel's story, and it was fresh soil to plant new grounds. I will admit, I'm perfectly fine with his story ending in part 2, ending in a way that does something for the story and the character's legacy. And no, it's not to send Ellie in a rage, because again, it doesn't fucking do anything. It's like, oh, okay, she's mad and she goes off, and then it bogs down the interaction between the other character because she needs to be in a state of mourning. It has a little darker. It makes Ellie seem like she's not Ellie from the part 1, and you don't have to regurgitate it, but it just makes it, it's an element of the first game that's missing. That's a charismatic, charming, magnetic element that was a breath of fresh air that easily could have been incorporated in this had they have structured it a bit different, and even have Abby somewhat redeemable. That, and again, like I explained this before, having the girl that did Ellie's tattoo, what was her name, Kat or something, she is out on patrol, and it's Dina and Ellie get to the place, and they interrupt Abby before she does the final blow. But the reason Abby didn't do it yet is because she's having a hard time dealing with it, and that would loosen most people up and be like on Abby's side, yet also still get that, oh man, she really hurt Joel. Took his leg out. He's got one leg now, and but he doesn't die through that. And on the way out, in defense and shooting their way out of there after Ellie interrupts it, they end up killing Kat. When again, we don't need fucking Kat. That's why Joel was such a waste to catapult the story, because it's such a big character to catapult something that nothing fucking happens. People go places. That's it. Jesse dies. Yay. But you utilize Ellie's connection with the Kat character. And again, this is done purposefully because we love the one character, and when that character hurts, we hurt as well, and we're like, we're gonna fucking go and get it done and get the vengeance. But Joel can't go. He's got one leg, and he's like, don't do it. The cycle of violence type shit. It came back for me. It's probably gonna come back around, and yada yada yada. Ellie's off, and then you can bring Joel back later, obviously, with a little leg, whatchamacallit, prosthetic. And doesn't move the same yet, but still he's there and he's present. He eventually dies by maybe even him and Abby fighting side by side. There's so much more depth. I know I talked before because I was more into it, and I talked about so much more stuff where I'm like, bro, there's so much more depth there that as a fan, I'm like excited. The thought of having Abby and Joel in the beginning fighting side by side, knowing there's something not right there. But imagine having that later on after they have their head to head, and there's that tension, and there's so much more fresh soil. You can plant so many different seeds within the story to have those two characters, and you would still have, when you have a character like Kat killed off, we have the connection because Ellie has the connection. But then when Ellie goes through with it, you could be like, oh yeah, whoop-de-whoop. And then when Ellie doesn't go through with it, for a lot of fans, they were like, even fans that liked it, let's not piss around, they were like, that's kind of stupid, but it's a fucking amazing game anyway. When it's a character like Kat, a lot of those fans would be like, okay, because it's not such a blow. It's like, wait a minute, you threw away one of the greatest video game characters ever created to do this, to do this? Like, what? You fucking kidding me? But if it was Abby or someone like Kat, for example, and these are only examples, it doesn't have to be just that. It would be like, whoa, that's fucking tough. There's a lot more you could have done with it, because it would be there's so much more interesting stuff. And again, that charisma missing from Ellie is a big deal. When you play the birthday scene, there's like no zombies, there's no action, but the birthday scene between Joel and Ellie, it's one of the most incredible moments in a video game. And there's zero action at all. It's those two charismatic characters. And the reason, not only the chemistry is amazing, iconic characters we love, it's a new and fresh scene between them, but it's part of Ellie's character that fun and that pop of Ellie's character is completely missing. Because of what they did, they had her in mourning the whole time, and if they used someone like Kat instead of Joel, they could have alleviated some of that mourning, made her a little more lighthearted. We understand her need for revenge and yada, 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 but you don't have to drown that charm of that character as much. I don't know. There's so much more that we could get into it, but I don't think it even fucking matters, to be honest. Do you think Naughty Dog's reputation took a big hit because of how The Last of Us Part 2 turned out? I think that's questionable. I think for at least a chunk of fans, and it might even be the minority of fans, I think it took a hit. But I do think there's a big chunk. The reason why I say it's questionable is because no matter how the story ends up, you got to admit there's a dedication to the gameplay and the world and the design and the sounds that is stellar. So as long as you have that, they're still going to ride it out. If the gameplay was clunky and glitchy and yada yada yada, Naughty Dog would be fucking done, based off of that story. You took that story and whack gameplay and they would be crippled. The gameplay and how gorgeous it is really fucking is like the foundation of what Naughty Dog's resting on, in my opinion. I think Joel serves his purpose in the story, and to be honest, Part 2 revolves around his character the most, then Abby's, and then Ellie's. Yeah, that's the thing, is it doesn't matter if it revolves around a character that's not in the story. It doesn't have anything to do with the story. I don't give a shit about this whole, she's off to avenge him, so everything she does revolves around Joel. That doesn't even matter. He's not there. He's not. You're not playing him. You're not seeing him. You're not hearing from him. One of the greatest video game moments actually has Joel and Ellie in it, which is, and I'm going to shut this down because now we're getting into stuff we've already talked about, and it kind of feels like I hate it no matter what, and it kind of feels like some of y'all want me to like it, but it's never going to happen. I've been through this already. Trust me. Part 1 was, I have a poster hanging up right here. My all-time 3 favorite zombie apocalypse titles. All time, no matter what. One of them is The Last of Us. One of them is The Walking Dead. The other is Doomsday Kingdom. But still, that's besides the point. You saw that coming. Anyway, there's nothing I want more than to love part 2, especially how gorgeous the gameplay is. But it's just not going to happen. I've ran through it over and over in my head. It's just not gonna, And Joel being the catalyst for the story, in my opinion, it don't do anything. It doesn't matter. It's not him. It's not his character. It's not, it just simply doesn't matter. He's not in it. I've seen a ton of reviews where they were even mad that Joel's, and they're talking about a different way, but they were mad that Joel's death was so involved in Ellie's story. They were like, she's a strong, independent woman. Why does his death a man's death? Those type of reviewers. They went off the wall with it. And again, I don't know what kind of drugs they're fucking on. It doesn't matter. If the character's not in the story, if they're not there, you're not absorbing anything of value from the character. It doesn't matter. Like, I've seen a lot of people try to, even like in Hollywood, try to say, oh yeah, this character's so important because in the very beginning, his death created it all. And it's like, I see where you're going with there, but it doesn't matter because the character's not in it at all. So no, it doesn't. The character's on screen for 5 minutes and that's it. That's all you get from them. Now, as far as what I was saying before, one of the greatest moments in a video game, I think my top moment ever, and it even beat out when I was little and the dog jumped through the fucking window of Resident Evil, was when you're fighting the bloater in Last of Us Part 2. And this is on live stream for the first time I ever played it. I had no idea it was coming. And we all know from Part 1, and this was a genius mislead, that bloaters kill you and rip your face in half. So you're fighting his bloater and the bloater's not stopping. It's not going down. And it is a fight. It is one hell of a fight. And then you get to a point where you're almost out of bullets and I go to dodge the bloater and the bloater goes to rip my face off. And I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I fucked up. I don't know. I got to restart this bitch. And as soon as he goes to rip my face off, Joel comes out of nowhere. And again, it's that mislead. My expectations were set to what's going to happen. Joel comes out of nowhere and saves my ass in a way where it was like, bro, it was like he broke the game and he saved me anyway. He was like, nah, I'm saving Ellie, yada, yada, yada. One of the greatest moments in a video game ever. And just, fuck, there was so much more of that potential that did not spill over into the rest of it. And I don't know, it's so fucking forced, but goddamn, that's him being in it. So just because Ellie's doing things because of him, in my opinion, it can revolve around him as much as it wants. It doesn't matter. He's not there. He's not affecting us with anything of substance. You gave up on World Beyond after 3 or 4 episodes. Does it get better or no? No, I would say watch the last episode. You don't even need to see this stuff in between. Watch the last episode and you'll pretty much get it. There's a cool fight and that's about it. Yeah, it's a complete dog shit. Like Tito P has said, Ronnie, part 1 was about Joel's story. Part 2 was about the consequences of his actions. And part 3 would be about his legacy. I don't agree. He's gone. What legacy? He's done. If he's not in it, if you're not getting something from it, it just simply doesn't matter. Part 2, about consequences of his past actions. Well, those consequences play a part. But if we're not, that sounds like someone who's on the marketing team trying to put it out there. It's really not. Joel's consequences play, a heavy part in this, but let's break it down. Okay. Part 1 is about a doctor's selfish, bullshit decision to kill a child. Part 2 is the consequences of that doctor and, the cycle of violence. The doctor crossed a line. Joel killed him for crossing a line. Abby kills Joel for crossing a line, for killing the doctor that crossed a line. Let's be real. It's part 1 is very much Joel's story, in my opinion. However, Ellie, in her own right, really dominated and split that story in a way. I always felt by the end of it, part 1 was a Joel story that bled into an Ellie story. And even the gameplay, in a way, faking you out with potentially Joel dying and then taking over as Ellie and then switching back to Joel. It was so cleverly crafted. I think part of that too could have fucked with their head thinking, well, we need to do the same thing, but, you know, we can't just go back and forth. We need to pick I know, let's take the revenge girl and the enemy, but it's not an enemy, it's not a villain, I don't know. Thank you for answering my questions. I respect your opinions. Take care. Have a good night, Raven. I'm about to shut this down as soon as I get a couple more questions out of the way, too. I think my DK volume arrives today. Oh, nice. Read it and let me know what you think. And don't be afraid to record an unboxing and upload it. Oh, fuck me. I totally forgot to check the straw poll. Let's do that quick. Laugh Out Loud, the only thing I'm trying so hard to convince you and will never get tired of is trying to convince you that TV Andrea was a great character. Oh, I like TV Andrea a lot better than most people. The only thing I don't like is her story in season 3, really, and some moments in part 2 really took me out of it. Do you see physical media disappearing in the future? Kind of, to a degree. I don't think physical media is going anywhere unless it's a forced removal. Like, for example, with video games, if they go, you know what, I got an idea. You know, we can do digital only, and that's the only way you can get this console. They force it. But I do think when you do that, you run the risk of competition coming up and saying, hey, that one's doing it like this, but we're doing it like this. Look, it's a retro looking style. We got retro this or retro that, and yada, yada, yada. And you get physical media. You never know. But I do think when it comes to movies and shit like that, physical media is going to be here for another 50 years. I don't see it. Unless something interesting happens. Like, for example, when it comes to getting your digital media, especially when it comes to permanent digital files or permanent digital something. Because right now it's not permanent. Unless people are just, foolish. At any moment, the companies can get bought out, change names, make any type of changes, and then your library disappears, and then you have to go and relicense them all over again. No, I'm good. I'd rather have Blu-rays or 4K and just be done with it. Finally ordered a copy of The Walking Dead: The Alien for my birthday next week. Do you think they should make a one-off episode based on the graphic novel? No, I don't think the Alien one should have anything to do with the whatchamacallit, with the TV show. I don't think so at all. I think Jake Paul's a pussy. I don't know. I guess I'm out of the loop. I guess he had a fight or something coming up. I think he's a pussy. Let's go. I was supposed to do this at the beginning. Let's vote. Validating vote. What do you mean vote? Let's show results. World Beyond, episode 9 and 10. I gave it a dislike. Okay. So 36% liked it. I'm sorry. Thought it was okay. 32% liked it. 21% loved it. And 6% hated it. And 2% disliked it. This one's a bit tricky. I think this one is unfair. I think if you polled episode 9 separately, you would get episode 9 would be a heavy dislike. It was fucking boring. I think even if you polled episode 10, you might even see a more positive uptick, because episode 9 really drug it down. It was kind of boring as shit. I see why they put those two together. Episode 10 did end with a bang, though. I'm telling you, that little fight and even the concept there of having people at each other's throats. What I will say right now that also frustrates me is when they marketed World Beyond, they made a point of saying, we're going to have this group of characters, good people. Some are going to grow to be heroes. Some are going to grow to be villains. And I really was like, okay, you know what? It's going to be like the saving grace where it might not be hanging in there good, but we're going to see something powerful with Hope becoming a villain character and Iris branching off and becoming a good character. And it really kind of felt like a stale fart just having Huck the pseudo villain, I guess, because Huck is thinking she's doing something for the better good. Huck didn't want to kill people that she was already close with. She was fine killing people strangers that they just ran into. That's all right. It's for the greater good. That's still fucked up. She's still fucked up for doing that, especially in their group. But the thing is, you have, where'd that go? You have, Huck, who almost definitely in season 2 is going to find out what the CRM really did with the campus community. And then in this cliche roundabout way, she's going to be one of the, good guys and get the redemption. It's just weak, man. I hope they don't do that and they do something different. Hugh Jackman playing Joel in the Last of Us TV show. I'm not cool with that. I want a up and comer because, I think Hugh Jackman has potential for the role, but I think he's kind of like one of the only picks if we were going with really recognizable and, screen actors. Like him, the guy from Game of Thrones. Like if we were picking people that are really recognizable and really, in that realm. But if we were just picking actors in general, including unknowns, I think there's better fits out there, both in looks and performance-wise. Hugh Jackman is great in performance-wise, but there's something about his performance I think would just replicate Logan a little too much. I think it would be off. I don't know. For me, it's not a good fit. I think there's someone out there that's an unknown that would be a better fit. Supergirl is SJW? It seems like it. I hear that a lot. I watched Justified. It's good. I like Justified, actually. But I'm out of here. I got to roll. I got to get up early in the morning. Thank you guys for coming by. Sometime around the end of the first week in December, like December 7th, December 10th, somewhere around there, I'm going to be getting the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. If you guys are interested, over on the Ronnie Hayes channel, we will try out a stream of that when I get it. And I'll try to do the stream as a first impression, so that way when I throw it on for the first time, you guys are there with me. And I think that would be a little funner, a little better. So let me know if you're interested, and subscribe to the Ronnie Hayes, because I'm probably not going to get a chance to go ahead and announce that before we do that, Last question, might as well go with, do you agree that the zombie genre is overdone to death? I strongly disagree. I've disagreed for years that it is done to death. But if it's making money and sells all the time, do you think it doesn't matter if it's a good thing or a bad thing? The reason why it's making money and it sells all the time is because it's not actually done to death. We see and hear these comments all the time. No one says superheroes are done to death and let's stop doing superhero movies, because it encompasses so much. Well, the zombie genre, even though there's B movies, and I remember I talked about this when The Last of Us came out. You tell me 10 banging zombie games from 2020 that released in 2020. If it's so done to death and everyone's doing it, give me 10 of the greatest zombie games. What I doubt most people can give me 3 that came out in 2020 outside The Last of Us. Include that, even though it's not zombies. Days Gone was 2019. But my point is, even with zombie movies, even if it was like, if there's 2 or 3, and I mean good ones, don't give me all the shit that just came out. The thing with the zombie genre is it's the same thing with a lot of other horror type. They're easy, and people who make them oftentimes are passionate fans of the genre. Easy to make. It grew from the independent. Night of the Living Dead was an independent movie. It grew out of that, So having an overwhelming abundance of zombie games, movies, books, I think that's all bullshit. We say it, but it's not true, because there's not an overabundance of good ones out there. How many zombie TV shows are running on TV right now besides The Walking Dead? What do we have? Do we have any? I mean, some of them are kind of off and on. We don't even know what's going on with them. But I mean solid ones. Not like, you know, Z Nation or what. That's dog shit. But I mean solid, good zombie shows. Is The Kingdom still going? I think it's still going. It's in season 2. But my point is, there's not nowhere near as much as what people think there is or say there is. And the reason why it does so good is because there's a lot more we can do with the zombie genre that's not being done. And when there's quality stuff out there, the fans will jump on it. And we see that time and time again. All right, good night and be safe. I'll see you guys for a gaming stream in like a week or two. All right, peace.